to another episode of the God is a Geek podcast, number 337. 337 podcasts, say. But it's a very, very quiet one today. There's just me and Mr. Gary Bailey on. So how are you doing, Gary?
I'm okay. Tired, but I've had some coffee, so that's going to keep me going.
That's what you need. I've got a nice cup of tea with me, so we should be good.
Just running on caffeine, basically.
Running on caffeine, but that's how most people get through their day these days.
Very true.
I mean, we could be on harder drugs, but we're not. Disclaimer, just so everyone knows. So yeah, it's not that it's been a quiet week, but it's been a bit of a quiet week for us. I mean, we've both been playing Division 2. I've put in about 20 hours. You've put in a couple of hours. So we've got some stuff to talk about. We've got some listener questions. So we'll just get going. So Division 2, I'm very much enjoying it. I know you've got other thoughts, but we'll get to that. But basically, 20 hours now. I'm on about level 15. I've done a lot of the missions. I mean, people play it differently. I know Adam Cook's doing bits and pieces. Mick goes around the map and just picks up anything. Everyone's got different ways of playing. But I mean, the game itself, there's a lot there. There's a lot of good stuff that you can just start doing whenever you want. For me personally, I think the combat is excellent, and I love the kind of there is a difficulty to it, but it all comes from kind of how you are playing, and I think cover is a massive part of this game. And I found that I've got to a mission at a place called the Jefferson Plaza, where playing alone has suddenly started to get a lot more difficult, and the enemy types are a lot more difficult. They've started to introduce different weapons with them. There's a mortar that I've had against me for the first time. But up until now, I mean, I'm still enjoying it, but it's kind of reached a kind of a peak now where it's becoming a lot more difficult to play on your own.
Yeah, sort of got to a point where you need to now start playing it with others.
You do need it. I mean, I've played a bit with Adam, and it's kind of it's different in co-op. Like I've played on my own, and it's been tricky at certain points, but I've managed. But when we went into a couple of missions together, it suddenly, I don't think it became a lot harder, but the enemies kind of became a lot smarter, and the AI I think is very good.
Yeah.
There was an area where it was like a 2-story building. There's stairways from both like from behind us and in front. There's a lot of directions that it can come from, and it kind of really tested you to work together and cover those areas. I mean, we died a lot on this one mission, and it was frustrating. And there was they have different enemy types. So you've got your standards, which have got like the red health bars. The enemies that are a bit more difficult with like purple health bars, and then they've got armor. And then there's like the bosses or the bigger enemies that are yellow with a armor as well, but it takes a lot longer to take them down. So we were getting dispatching the first wave of enemies that were just standard. Then the second wave got a bit harder, and then the third came along with the boss and a load of purples and like reds as well. So we were just getting battered, and it really did test us to kind of use cover and to cover the bases and to move. You can't really, I mean, a lot of the areas in Division 2 are very open. Like there's never a particular area where you can stay and know that no one's coming around the side of you or anything like that. There's always doorways open. There's always open spaces where they can jump through. So you very rarely are allowed to stay in one place. But I mean, that's kind of why I'm enjoying it. I think it's a really testing game. And I know you've got different thoughts. So let's just jump into what you think about it, Gary. How are you finding the Division 2?
See, I enjoyed it at the start, but I think the problem I've had is I didn't play the Division 1, and I don't feel like this one really, I don't know, like it didn't really welcome me in. Like it doesn't feel like it's made for new players, or at least it's not as easy for new players as it could be. I think like the shooting's great. I think like the cover-based stuff, the AI is spectacular. The AI, in some ways, it kind of reminds me of Rainbow Six Vegas 2. That had like a similar kind of, even like the setup, like you were saying, like with the levels and like some of the, like they can come from everywhere. You had a lot of that in the Rainbow Six games on 360. But
yes, it did. I
mean, I think I was always going to struggle because I'm not really one for loot shooters that often. And I think one of the reasons I'm not entirely sold on this is because like I used to love Tom Clancy stuff and it was always like realistic. Whereas this, because you have like bullet sponge enemies and stuff like that, I don't know what you like. I think it pulls me out of it. Like I don't get the immersion that some do.
See, I've never been a heavy player of loot shooters. Like Destiny, the first one, I only put in kind of like the main mission, the 20 hours or so to do that, and then I kind of got a bit lost with what to do. I was never a massive fan of getting new guns or building anything up, like my armor and stuff. It just didn't grab me, and then I barely touched Destiny 2. I know there are other loot shooters in Destiny. I just can't think of it.
To be fair, it was kind of the one that started it, really.
Yeah, in the mainstream, definitely. But like the Division 2, I think there's so much range in the loot, and not everything you find doesn't feel like arbitrary. They all kind of serve a purpose to your whole setup, and like everyone has different styles of playing when it comes to what weapons you use. Like I'm whatever game I play, I'm always a big fan of the sniper rifle, and I always prefer like semi-automatic rifles, and I'm not a big fan of machine guns. I prefer kind of accuracy over firepower. So I always like to do the covering. Like when I was playing with Adam, we were taking out this big kind of fortress that was inside this kind of huge skyscraper, and I was using the sniper rifle from afar, and he was kind of going in and picking them off. And the sniper rifles really do kind of ramp up when you get to higher levels, where you've got like the first one I was using did about 725 damage, and then Adam found one which was about 1.5 K's worth of damage, which he gifted me because he doesn't use the sniper rifle. So that's a cool element. You can share your items.
Yeah, that's something that needs to be a big part of all of these kind of loot shooters, because it's like when it's a case of no, you've got to keep whatever you have, seems a bit counterintuitive, really.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of you can get rid of a lot of stuff. I mean, with the shotguns, like Adam loves shotguns, so I've got tons now of shotguns, which I very rarely use because, again, I prefer range. But I mean, they do come in handy when you're kind of in a close vicinity, like certain areas which are smaller. But I've got loads of them. But the choice to gift them to another player, or to kind of deconstruct them and use them as junk, which you can then use this junk and these materials that you get to then go and craft weapons. And the way it does that is excellent. Like, you've got your basic operations at the White House, and as you play through it, you unlock different kind of bases around Washington, and each one kind of serves a purpose, and the more you build them up, the more kind of abilities that you have to offer. So like I was saying, the crafting, there's a crafting where you learn a lot more about what you actually find around Washington. There's a lot of like bits, you pick up things like kids' toys, and stuff like that. You're like, well, why do I need that? But you could, they're kind of like, they're trinkets, so you can sell the trinkets. So then, if you get a machine gun that you don't want, you can deconstruct it, as I said, and you can go and craft new items for your armor or weapons and stuff like that. So there's a lot of crafting that helps with the loot and stuff like that. And then there's kind of your skills, and there's like 8, I think, different skills that you can unlock, which are activated by the shoulder buttons on whatever console you're playing, and you can use one that brings up like a temporary turret for you, or there's like a scanner where you can activate it and it'll scan the area so you can see if there's any enemies hiding that you can't see. There's like a homing bomb you can use. There's a shield that you can unlock, and then on top of that you can unlock different kind of abilities for those with the more SHD Tech, which is called Shed Tech, which I don't know how because there's no E in there, but that's what it's called. And you can use that to upgrade the skills, or you can also unlock a lot of perks, and the perks are very good. They're very varied and ranged, so there's a lot of ability to really kind of home in on your particular kind of style. And like when me and Adam went back to base of operations, we spent a while kind of playing around with it and the skills, and he's a very different player to me, and he was able to customize it to make it work for him. And we then went out and took those skills on the road, and did a few missions, and just like I can see this being fantastic when the raids come into play, where they're a free update where there's 8 players. I mean, we don't really have 8 people on the site that play it, but hopefully we'll get some more and we can do these raids, because I think that would be great. And I think when you're playing with like 3 or 4 of you again, there's a lot more tactics involved. And I think as a singular player, I've had a lot of fun with it. But as I said earlier, there is a point now where you do need other players to play, because the enemies are a lot smarter and they kind of are coming at you from all angles. Like there's the Jefferson Plaza, minor spoiler, just to tell you about where the enemies are coming from. So there's a building in the background at this certain part where there's a guy on the very top of this building, like the 3rd floor, with a mortar. So he's firing that at you sporadically. And then on the ground, you've got guys with shotguns coming at you. And there's guys in the back with rifles, there's sniper rifles. And then there are these weapons that fire this foam at you, which you can unlock for yourself, but the foam basically freezes you in place. And renders you completely like useless, whilst they can then fire at you with their guns, and you have to hold in the X button on the Xbox to kind of break free and then run off. So it is getting to a point where it's all kind of really kind of challenging. And there's guys with like grenades, and then there's the little RC cars. I know they're not called RC cars because that's what fucking remote controls are called, but they've got like bombs on them. They can control them, and then they move up to you, and then if they get close enough, they'll blow you up. So it's really tough when you're on your own. So now is the kind of right time for me, I think, to just embrace the multiplayer, which I'm not against it, because I think it's great when you've got friends, but it's more the multiplayer side of it with the Dark Zone, which I've tried, but I mean, given it's a very new game, there were no. I mean, I think I saw 2 other players in the Dark Zone, which at this point is great, because the whole purpose of the Dark Zone is to go in, find some special loot, and then get it extracted.
Yeah, but it's get out alive.
And yeah, I mean, the only challenge I've had is like AI, like the computer have got some soldiers that come at you. So, and they're pretty easy to dispatch in the Dark Zone at the minute, because their levels are kind of scaled down a bit for the area, which I think is quite good with the Dark Zone, is that if you go in at level 15 and then there's someone at level 30, it scales it all down to a point where you can all play together. No, the only thing that's going to overpower you is if they're more skillful with a rifle than you, or a gun with you. So I think that's a great thing. But again, it's very early to say anything about the Dark Zone, because it's not a lot of people are playing it at the minute. But I think, as we go on, it'll get a lot better. And I think the Division 1, the thing with that is it kind of felt very basic when it was released, and I played it. I didn't put a lot of time into it, maybe 6 or 7 hours, and it was fine, on your own. But when you played it with a group, it was better. But it was just missing something. Yeah. And then they added a hell of a lot to it as the years went on, and that's one thing I'm kind of excited with the Division 2, is that I am really enjoying it now, and I think there's a lot more than there was in the first one. The missions are a lot more kind of varied, and I must say that the visuals, they're not like spectacular in the kind of like it feels like it could be released when the Division 1 was released, because they're not any different in terms of how better they've got, but the actual environments are amazing. Like it is I don't want to call it post-apocalyptic, because it's not. But when
I
everything's
suppose it
gone to
kind
shit,
of is
still...
in a way. It's just
it
not.
kind of, yeah.
Like, normally, it's all zombies or something like that. Whereas this is a more, I suppose, a realistic approach where it is. Like,
yes, very realistic.
Yeah, I mean, it's what technically could happen.
Yeah.
You hope it doesn't.
Yeah, it
but
could.
It could do.
Yeah. Well, as long as bloody Donald Trump's involved, the swine.
Yeah. It does feel like there's a bit of a kind of a nod to that, I think. Yeah, I think they've said it in Washington with that in mind. Yeah. I do think there's... Yeah. I don't think it's like directly political or anything like that, but well, I suppose it is at times, but I think... Yeah, there's definitely something there. It's just not direct.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading an interview. I can't remember what it was, but they thought about setting it in New Orleans or Seattle as well. But they said that there's just not the scope that Washington has, and I think that's part of it. But yeah, also part of it is that with it being such a kind of... Like, it's a smart game. Like, the politics are there, and it's like the story. Whilst there's not a lot of story. It does point to certain things, and I do kind of like that. Yeah. But that's another reason why I do enjoy it, is because it's not cutscene after cutscene. In fact, I've seen about 3 in about 20 hours.
I mean, I only played a few hours now, but yeah, you don't really see much, and the ones that are there are very short.
Yeah, I mean, the story all comes from the dialogue, like what you're hearing through your headset, which just as you are approaching your mission, it gives you background to what's happening, and I kind of like that. Like, the games that, I mean, obviously we all love single players with loads of cutscenes because it's very immersive, and that's what they're built for. But games like Dark Souls and Bloodborne as well, where they tell the story through, like, the setting and like certain like things you can find to read that take you seconds to read, but it builds that world itself, and that's what the Division 2 is kind of doing at the minute. It's building a story through kind of things you find or the dialogue you're hearing as you're playing. So a different approach to it, but it's definitely working. And I really like it. I think, I mean, I'm not reviewing it. I've not spent this much time with a non-review game for a long time. Like, I've literally not played anything else because I've not wanted to play anything else. And now I've got a review game. I'm like, oh,
yeah. I don't want to play this. I want to go back.
yeah. But that's great because, like, I mean, you know what this is like when you've got a review game. You feel inclined to blast through it as much as possible, and like when it's a big game like the Division 2 or an open world, you kind of have to play through the story because that's kind of what's expected, because you want to be able to review the process of the whole game.
Yeah.
But like with this, I could do little missions, I could do whatever I want to do, and I've got no reason to rush through the main story, and that's what I'm doing, you know.
You can take your time with it a bit more when it's not a review sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why I'm enjoying it a lot more. But what are you playing it on?
I'm on PC.
Are you playing it on PC?
Yeah, that like you said before, like there's not as many players on the console version, but there's no one on the PC that I've not seen.
Oh, right.
Like, I've not seen a single player in the base of operations or anything. I've not.
Yeah.
I think, you get the little requests for backup. Like, when I was playing the beta on, I think it was PS4, I was getting those requests quite often, to the point where I kind of turned it off, because I was like, I just want to mess about quickly and see what the game's about. And then, but on this, I'm getting near enough none. So, I don't know whether the PC version is just a bit barren at the minute, or whether it's just that more players are just playing it on their own for a while. I don't know. But we'll see.
That's a shame, because I mean, the thing is, if you're not enjoying it now, it'd be silly to get it on the Xbox just for the multiplayer.
Yeah,
because with times change so fast. Who knows if we'll be playing this in a month, just because the sheer scale of games that come out.
Yeah, the number of games that are coming out, it's crazy. And there's so many multiplayer ones as well that those trends change really quickly.
Yeah.
Aside from stuff like the Battle Royale ones, which tend to stick around quite a lot, but even then, people jump back and forth from different ones quite often. Like, Fortnite's big at the minute because of Season 8, but Apex is still big, and Battlefield will probably grow once the Firestorm comes out, so I think that's due soon.
Yeah, that is soon, yeah.
I know
I remember that when that came out, Battlefield 5 came out, it was supposed to be out like the month after, so it's taken a long time to come around.
It's a little while, possibly a bit too long, I think, for it to really make an impact, but you never know, it might be really, really good, and we'll see.
Yeah. Well, that's the Division 2. What I wanted to do, Gary, is just, because we've not got a lot of games to talk about, is just kind of reflect on the kind of the year so far. So I'm just curious to know what your kind of favourite games of the last kind of 3 months have been. Because there's been a lot that's come out already.
Oh, yeah.
I feel it's not as strong as previous years. First 3 months at least. But yeah, what are the games that you've kind of really enjoyed this year?
I mean, I think the obvious one is Resident Evil 2, because that one blew me away. That one, that was kind of my game this year, like you're having with Division 2. Like, I played it for review, but then obviously I carried on playing it afterwards. Then when I got other review games, it's like, but I want to just play Resident Evil. Like, it was. It's very rare for me to replay a game like so soon after finishing it, but I just kept, every time I finished Resident Evil 2, I'd restart, either with the other character to do like the B scenario, or like going back and restarting the entire thing. And it's very rare that happens. And I think because, I mean, Resident Evil 2 is so fondly remembered anyway, I think it was always going to be one of those games that you just sort of a little bit apprehensive about. But
definitely, yeah. But, I mean, it is such a big game when it came out, and people herald it over the last 20 years, and rightly so. Yeah. So I was dubious because, I mean, people have strong memories in completely different ways about certain games, and that people have like emotional attachments to these games due to maybe something that's happened around the time, and they remember playing it. For those reasons, or other things like that. But like, I loved Resident Evil 2, but there was no kind of huge attachment to it. Like, I know you loved the original, and you loved Resident Evil, so I can imagine, you being kind of very concerned that it wasn't going to live up to what you were expecting. Because it did have a lot to live up to. Because you don't just pick a game like Resident Evil 2. On the fly, that there are a lot of thoughts to go into, should we do this?
Yeah.
Because, it must be terrifying trying to make it right. But that engine is fantastic. That Resident Evil engine.
It's so impressive. Brilliant. And the fact that, I mean, like, I haven't played Devil May Cry yet, other than the demos, but like, I know I didn't really get on with the demos, but eventually I will play the full game, partly from your review and what others are saying about how good it is. Beyond, like apparently the demos were just bad, essentially, and didn't really reflect the...
Yeah, and I'm so glad I never played them. Because I went completely into this just fresh.
That I think that must have been the best way to... Because the demos I just didn't get on with at all. And like Adam was the same, but even Adam was like, no, those demos, just ignore them, play the game, and it's brilliant. But, sorry, just going off on one a little bit there. The thing is, it's just that engine. It's amazing that they've managed to get it for both of those games so different in how they play and the tone of them. And, you've got these two very different games, and they both look astonishing. And it's just like, how? How is this engine so versatile? It's not fair.
Exactly.
It's not right.
And it's... Yeah, no, you're right. And it's kind of technically sound. Like, I mean, I've not played as much as Resident Evil 2 Remake as you, but, I never saw any mention of any glitches or bugs. I mean, It ran smoothly, I take it.
Yep, I've not seen any issues with frame rate. I've not seen any bugs or glitches. It's so well done, and I believe Devil May Cry was the same.
Yeah, well, that's what I was kind of coming to with Devil May Cry. I mean, it's a lot faster. It's a lot faster game, and like it's mental at times with what you're seeing on screen. And not one single point when I played through was there a single issue with frame rate, with glitching, with any texture popping, like nothing at all. It's sound, and like it kind of gets me excited for what they're going to do with it in the future, because they're not just going to use it to remake Resident Evil games. Like, as much as that might be cool, I want to see them do something new, like a new IP maybe, and use this engine, or just bloody remake Dino Crisis. That's all I ask. I'd so love that. But
so I've got a confession there. I'd never really played Dino Crisis. I played a demo of it, and that's it. I never played the full game.
That's fine. Like, if they remade it, you'd play it, wouldn't you? Just because
it's a game that I kind of always wanted to try, but I just never got around to it. And then, like,
I mean, it at the time, I loved it, but then you watch old videos and it's like, it looks so shit. Like, it was kind of, it was a survival horror, but it was dinosaurs, so it was stupid. Like, it's Capcom level kind of bizarre for that time, but that's why we love them. And I think in terms of this year, Capcom have had a blinder of a start.
Yeah,
they're really onto something here, and I think that engine's going to do them very well in the future, because both Resi 2 and Devil May Cry have been excellent games.
Yeah.
So what have you been kind of disappointed by this year?
I can't think of anything that's
other than the Division 2.
I can't really think of it, because like I'd probably say the Devil May Cry demo, but like there's not. I don't think anything's really proper let me down this year. It's like I'd say like Ace Combat was a massive surprise. That as well. Like that was one where I didn't expect to enjoy that at all. But obviously I did a thing for the PC version, and I was like, this game is brilliant. It's genuinely brilliant, and like I think that's the sort of game that we might be discussing in Game of the Year. Maybe not for the actual Game of the Year, but just as one of those games that just it deserves to be played. It deserves to be mentioned, because it's a nice like combat flight sim, but without too much of the sim element. So anyone can really play it and enjoy it. And I'd never played anything like that, but it's pretty easy to pick up, isn't it? Oh yeah, definitely.
It's kind of like if you've played like Battlefield and you've played like the plane missions, or if you've played Battlefront, it's dead easy to control. There's not a lot to it. It's press a button to shoot, press a button to move up, down. And then the VR element as well is excellent. Like, you're fully immersed in that. You are Goose or Maverick. Well, I'd be Goose if I could be Maverick. But yeah, you've got full control of that cockpit. And it's amazing. But yeah, definitely, that's definitely one of the biggest surprises of the year, and that will be talked about, to some extent. I think the obvious for me is Kingdom Hearts, which to have that right off the bat in January, it wasn't great, because when I was playing it, I was quite ill. I had a really horrible kind of bug, which I don't think it helped when I'm playing through, like, especially at the end game where you've got a succession of these bosses, and it's just, oh God, it's tough. And I was just like, I've kind of calmed down a lot. I say my old age. We're not old, are we, Gary?
Nah,
we're still young spring chickens. But I used to get angry when playing games, especially if I like FIFA is a prime example. I used to get very angry at FIFA when someone would score in the last minute. But Kingdom Hearts really tested my patience. Like, I do this all the time where I'm like, right, fuck it, I'm not playing. Fuck it, I'm not going back to it. Put the controller down, and then Lauren's like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "No, nothing. It's just shit. I'm not playing it. I'm going to give it a 5." Like, and then within 20 minutes, I'm like, "Oh no, I should give it another go." And then I give it another go, and then I die again. I'm like, "Nah, I was right. Fuck this game." And then like I really struggled with one particular point where I just couldn't do it, and then like you'll probably get this when you come back to it first thing in the morning and you do it like first time, and you're like, "Why was I struggling?" And it's all about your mindset with certain things. So I didn't kind of mark it down because of my ineptitude to play. But as a whole, like looking at the game as a whole, it was disappointing because the kind of the last 4 hours or so were just a chore for me.
Right. And
that really kind of let it down. And the worlds are great. The combat is great, but you fucking thumb hurts because the X button, Adam, I know you like me saying that you're hammering that, like, because that's kind of your main use of how you use your keyblade. Yeah. So it bloody hurts your thumb. And there's a lot of enemies, and sometimes you just want to get through a level, but they keep popping up. And there's a lot of good about that game, but I think I was disappointed by it on the whole, because I was just expecting, it's been 6 years since they announced it, probably longer in development, and it felt like a previous console game. Like I could have seen that coming out on the PS3 or Xbox 360.
Yeah, a friend of mine was the same way. He just like he was playing. He's just like, I'm essentially playing a game from last gen, and it just looks better. It's a bit dated. And another friend of mine, like she was a big fan of the whole series. Even she was disappointed by more the story than anything else, because she would say even she was like, I just didn't get it. I didn't get what was happening at the end and stuff like that. And it's just, I mean, I know they've announced like extra stuff that's going to come out maybe to finish the story properly, hopefully. But yeah, it does sound like most people have gone into this game and like wanting like a good ending to this trilogy, especially after all this waiting, but they've not really delivered on it in some key aspects.
Yeah, no, you're right. They haven't. And I think adding more to it at this point is just going to make it more of a mess. I think their problem is people don't always play the kind of the 3DS game, the Dream Drop Distance. Yeah. Not everyone played that. And that's got a lot of story in it. And not everyone has seen the animated film. And not everyone has kind of played the mobile game. There's a lot of story there that logically you'd think Kingdom Hearts 3 carried on from Kingdom Hearts 2, which is what most games do. Yeah. But this completely doesn't. Like, I played Dream Drop Distance only because it was released on that 2.8
I remember that
game, and that I only knew because of that. And if I hadn't, I would even be even more confused. But it's not like it helps, because I'm still overly like confused by it all, and even now I don't really know what happened. But
I don't
there's
think
a lot
of
when shiny lights.
Like you had those different the re-releases and stuff like that, but there was all sorts of 1.5 and 2.5, and then there was 2.8, and it's just like just this is just confusing matters even more. And nobody understands.
No, you're right. And the moment I knew that Kingdom Hearts 3 was going to be just as confusing is in Kingdom Hearts 3 at the start, there's a Kingdom Hearts 2.9. There's like about 4 hours where you're playing two, and that's the Hercules level, and the bit after that, that's classed as Kingdom Hearts 2.9. So there's even more convolution.
I think my brain is leaking out my ears right now. Just giving up.
Yeah, we need to stop talking about it, because the more and more I think about it, the more and more pissed off I get. But we've still got a lot of time left this year, so let's talk about the future of the year. So, I mean, we've obviously, since we talked on the Game of the Year pod, we've seen a lot more come out from games that are due to be out this year. A lot of new trailers, a lot of bit more information. Have your, I know Resident Evil 2 was the game you were looking forward to, but has there been any more developments for games coming out this year that have got you more excited for them? Like, is there anything else that's kind of sprung to the top for you that you think, yeah, you know what, I'm really excited to play that?
I mean, I'm a little bit, now that they've said Reach is coming out for Halo Master Chief Collection, I'm happy about that. I'll play that. And not exactly a new game, but because I mean, part of me was a little disappointed that they've basically said Halo Infinite isn't going to be this year.
Yes.
Which they've said it's going to be at E3 at least, so I'm happy about, because I want to see more of that game.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've been here before about how much I was disappointed by Halo 5, but Halo Wars 2, I think, was brilliant. Like, that was kind of the Halo game I wanted. Perhaps not the gameplay, because like I'm not really a strategy game person, but that game was so good that it didn't matter. But yeah, I want to see what they do with Halo from here, because they need something big to follow up the disappointment.
I think you're right. I think they're putting a lot of effort into bringing Halo to PC. You know, like that opens up a whole world for them for new players and stuff that don't play on console. And I think you're right. Like Halo for me, like the trilogy. The games themselves were a set of games that I didn't play upon release. I think just before Halo 3 was released, I decided to, because I really wanted to play it because it looked amazing. Yeah. I went back, played the first two, so that I was all ready for Halo 3. And like, hands down, Halo 3 was my best kind of multiplayer co-op experience, because I played through, it's the first game I ever played through from start to finish with a friend. So it holds a lot of kind of memories for me. Yeah. And I think the series itself has been fantastic. Like, even ODST wasn't terrible by any means. It wasn't the greatest in the series, but it was still fun. And like Halo Reach was, it was fantastic. It was a really good Halo game. Yeah. And like, I'll never forget that ending. Like, that ending is one of the harshest endings for video games I've ever seen.
It's just so well done, though. It's
and I've never known anyone to do something like that.
No, I mean, it's cool because it's like the very beginning of the game, you know what's going to happen at the end. It sets it out straight away, but still, once you get to that end, you're like, so we're not spoiling it for anyone, but you are kind of like, holy shit, is this really happening, kind of thing. It's really well done.
Yeah, because it doesn't happen in a lot of games. You're with that protagonist till the end, and 9 out of 10 times they get through alive. Yeah. And the fact that you're just trying to survive, but in the end it's not going to matter. You're going to die. But it's brutal. But yeah, at the same time, excellent. And like, I mean, you could talk shit about Halo 5 as much as you want, mate, because Adam's not here and I've never played it. So, but like, I intend to. I think when we get kind of a release date, I'll go back and get it, because it's on the Game Pass, isn't it? And like, I could go and get that. I'm surprised there's no more information about Gears of War, because I assume that won't be this year either.
I don't know. I think that might be. I think they might get that out this year. I mean, I don't know. It could easily be next year, but I think they're going to want something big to end the year on. Because
what else do they have? Like, as any originals or any games coming out on Xbox that are bigger than? I mean, what have they released this year? Crackdown 3,
which was all right.
Which was kind of hot and cold to a lot of people.
It was the perfect Game Pass game. It was one that you try it, and you'll either enjoy it or you won't. But it's like, it was the one that I don't think anyone was really going, I can't wait for Crackdown 3. Because most people had seen all the stuff, they'd seen the delays, they'd seen what people were thinking of when they'd played it at E3 or wherever, and they were going, oh, actually, no, that doesn't look great. Nobody was really going, I really want this when it comes out. So the fact that it was on Game Pass, it's like, if you're already on Game Pass, cool, you play it for free, essentially. If you're not, either £1 for your first month or whatever, $7.99. It's like $7.99 for a rental for a game for a month or whatever. It's not the worst thing. I'd love to know kind of how much they're making and if there's a profit on this, because like I would never pay. I mean, I don't really pay for games now anyway, but you know what I mean. I would never pay to play Crackdown 3, £40-50. No, I would not have done the same for a lot of the games that have come out recently on Xbox. But like, I would love to know like how many people bought that game as a game and not part of Game Pass. Because like Sea of Thieves, when that came out, that was played by a lot of people. But then when it was like, it kind of dropped off a bit because no one played it. Yeah. I mean, people are playing it because obviously Nicola and Mick and that love it. But that kind of dropped off a lot. So I'd love to know like the kind of the profit and loss of this whole thing.
Because it's a great idea. Like, I think it's fantastic. Like, it's very smart.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best things in games at the minute. Like, it's basically Netflix, but for games. And like, if they are making money, they must be making something, because otherwise, they wouldn't be pushing it the way it is. But I just think if that keeps going and it does well, it's a brilliant thing for everyone, really. And if it does continue to do it and it is making money, will Sony do something for next generation? A similar thing. I know they do possibly. I know they do PlayStation Now, but it's not really the same because you still have to pay extra and all this. It's kind of
it's a lot of money for what it is.
Yeah,
like that PS Now, like $12.99 a month. Reduce the costs.
Yeah,
and I'm still there still should be an offer for joint PS Plus, PS Now, I think that should be a similar thing maybe for the Xbox going forward, combining Gold and
I wouldn't be surprised if they do something
and Game
like
Pass. Like, they seem more open to it. I think Sony have got a lot better exclusive, so they know they're going to shift copies of their games. Yeah. Like, I mean, you look at their last games: Horizon, God of War, Spider-Man. They're fucking monumental games over the last few years. Like, Xbox, what have they had that's been on any kind of level?
Yeah, that's the problem. They've not really. I mean, I think the closest they've had is stuff like Forza Horizon. Like, that did well.
Yes.
But,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's one thing. Like, this year, they'll probably have Forza Motorsport 8, and I'll be honest, I'm kind of a bit cold on it, because I'm just like, 7 was good, but over time, like, I've tried going back to it, and like, it's just not as good as it should have been, and it's not as fun as Horizon 4. And you just, like, I don't know what they can do with the Motorsport series to make it interesting again.
Yeah, true. There's a lot of. I mean, I'm not like, we don't mean to kind of put Xbox down, because they've given us some of the best games of the last 10 years. Like, but also they acquired a lot of studios recently. There's a lot of interesting prospects there with like guys like Ninja Theory. Like, what are they going to do next? And that'll be exclusive to Xbox, I'd have thought. So, there's a bright future for Microsoft. I think that they've got a lot of good, people willing to make good games just for them. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, in terms of games this year, I'm quite looking forward to Mortal Kombat, which is out. I think that's April 11 or around that time.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I mean, that's NetherRealm are great with fighters, especially like the last generation or two. They've really like nailed it, I think. So I am interested to see what they do with Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I mean, like we both loved Injustice, I think, Injustice 2 specifically. Like, and again, I'd gone cold on fighters for a while, and playing that kind of brought me back into them. And I don't think there was any game kind of after that, like Tekken 7 or Soul Calibur 6. They just didn't live up to it. So that's why, I'm looking forward to the way they do this. I know Mortal Kombat games tend to be a lot kind of, because I went back and played Mortal Kombat 10 after playing Injustice 2 for so long, and it just feels so different. Like, it's so much kind of quicker Injustice 2, and there's a lot more to it. So I think they'll take a lot from that for Mortal Kombat 10, but I'm looking forward to play it, definitely. And you got Rage 2 coming out, which I think that'll be a lot of fun. If it wasn't being developed by the people it was being developed by, I don't think I'd be as excited. Yeah. But we all know that they like Doom kind of id Software at the helm with Avalanche, who did like Just Cause. There's a lot of prospect for that to be fantastic. Yeah. But I mean, I'm sure there'll be. Go on, sorry, mate.
I was gonna say, I'm starting to find some interesting Control as well. The Remedy game. That one I wasn't that, but I still haven't played Quantum Break, which I should, because I think that's on Game Pass as well. But like I love the Max Payne games and stuff like that. This one, for whatever reason, when I first saw it, I was like, not. But since like because I hadn't paid that much attention, like being completely honest. But like now, it's like, oh yeah, it's basically a Metroidvania. I was like, pardon? Like no,
oh shit,
yeah.
really?
And so that's got me interested now. I'm like, okay. And Metroidvania, I'm like not, because most Metroidvanias now really the indie games, or the side scrolling games, that kind of thing. So
yeah, they are
making something a big sort of 3D game, Metroidvania. I'm intrigued to see how it works. How they do it, I should say, really.
Yeah. Is that still due out this year? Or is it due out next year?
I'm not sure when it's due, actually. I should really be prepared, and I've looked at this, but...
No, don't get your hopes up, mate, because you know what happened with Below.
You know what? I as much as I enjoyed that, and I'm so glad it came out, and it's like my review, I think I gave it an 8. Yeah. I actually haven't played it since. It was just one of those things where I thought about going back, but then I was just like, I just can't be bothered. And it's not even because the game was bad, and obviously I enjoyed it, but I think in some ways I was disappointed. I don't know why. I can't quite put my finger on it, but something about it just made me not really want to go back.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
What a shame,
it happens.
It happens. But yeah, on that note, we'll move on to some listener correspondence. So we've got quite a nice range of questions this week. So from McPoo, so first question: people aren't impressed with the way Anthem just tells its story more or less entirely through lore. Aren't Souls games basically the same, though? I don't remember people being bothered by that. Which is kind of weird, because that's what we were talking about earlier. I mean, I don't know with Anthem. I think on the whole it's been massively disappointing, and I think the way the servers have been broken, the way the kind of progression seems bad, there's a lot of issues, though. I don't know whether that's taken away a lot from the story that is kind of told through, things you read, and like with the Division, I guess, or with Souls, it's telling a story, but I don't necessarily think that story is that interesting. I've not put as much time into Anthem as I have Division 2, but like it doesn't feel like, I don't know, they can tell stories. BioWare, they've got a history of telling, like with Dragon Age and Knights of the Old Republic, Mass Effect, obviously. Yeah. They can tell stories very well, but I just don't. I'm not interested by it. But I think, like we were saying with Souls earlier, the stories aren't necessarily aimed. The games aren't necessarily aimed at building a story, but they do build the world very well, and they do like bring in a lot of kind of bits of information about what's happened and stuff, but it's always kind of left a bit ambiguous.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that about Souls games, but I think there are more problems with Anthem at the minute, and I think people are more focused on them than actually paying attention to the story. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I don't think. To be fair, I don't think many people were going to go into Anthem for its story, even though it's a BioWare game and everything. I think because it was more of a loot shooter than anything else. It was designed around like the multiplayer aspect. I don't think anyone was really going into it expecting a big BioWare story. I know there is a story in there, but I think most people probably aren't that bothered. I mean, I do get the point about the Souls games. I do think sometimes they can be a little bit too obtuse. Like they could have a bit more of a direct story, but I think because people enjoy the gameplay so much, some of them like to just go and find like different items, read the descriptions, get sort of the backstory and things like that way. I don't think. Yeah. I think that's kind of why people let it slip a bit more with the Souls games. I don't know whether Sekiro will be like that or not. Whether that's going to have a bit more of a proper story sort of thing. I think,
like from the preview I played, which we weren't allowed to record, but there are cutscenes. Like there's a story there, definitely. it doesn't seem to be so obtuse. It seems to have an actual plot, like a proper plot. So, I mean, the fact that your main character isn't a custom creation, you are playing as the one-armed wolf. He is a protagonist in this video game, so I think there'll be more of a story here. But yeah, it will be interesting to see how much of a story there is, and I hope it's not too heavy on cutscenes.
Yeah, I don't think
that will be weird.
They'll want to do that, and hopefully they won't.
I mean, what? Yeah, I mean, like Days Gone, there's supposed to be like 6 hours worth, I think, that was reported, which to me, like, it does seem excessive, but I guess when you're playing it, you don't necessarily notice.
No. I mean, when you play, kind of happy either way. You know, like if there's a good story and it's told well through cutscenes, I'm happy with that. If it's a game like something like God of War or even like the Uncharted games where there's a lot of story scenes told within the gameplay, that's cool. And if it's done well, you know, the sort of the Souls method is just as good because you can get a big sprawling story without having to watch 20 hours of cutscenes, you know, not looking at anyone in particular, Kojima. To be fair, like, I still adore Metal Gear Solid games. They're all great. I know 4 is kind of seen as a bit of a bad seed, but I still think it was brilliant. Some of the cutscenes in that were spectacular.
You're right.
I mean,
I think they're incredible.
The Guns of the Patriots scene in the middle, it's like an hour and a half long, but it was fucking amazing. I remember sitting watching it, just sat there thinking, part of me was going, when's this ending? But the other part was going, holy shit, he's using finger guns to blow shit up. What the hell? Yeah. You know, it was brilliant. Yeah. It was ridiculously Metal Gear, you know, but it was so good.
It's not one of those games you can like whack on for 10 minutes and be like, right, I'll just blast for a bit of the story.
Nope.
Like, those 10 minutes will probably be spent watching a third of a cutscene. But fucking Guns of the Patriots. I'd love to see. Is it the game's Sons of the Patriots? Is it
Wait, you know?
No.
It was Guns of the Patriots. It was Sons of Liberty one. It was 2.
Sons of Liberty. Yes. Yeah. So Metal Gear Solid 4. If Konami are listening, which obviously they are, please make it or just port it. Just do something. I mean, I miss playing.
Actually, are they listening? Do they listen to their own fans? I don't think they do.
Mic drop. That's the end of the podcast, everybody. Boom. All right, another question from it, Pooh. I also have this one. You and a video game character have to Freaky Friday and body swap for a week. Who would you want to be, and do you think they'd behave themselves being you? Like, just before we answer this, where's Vice Versa in this question? Can you remember Vice Versa with Fred Savage?
No.
It was a film from the 80s, which was basically what Freaky Friday was based on, like the idea of body swapping. Man, it makes me feel old. You know, I read people referencing the remake rather than the original. Anyway, good question. This is a good question. I don't know. Like, obviously, I'd like to be Spider-Man, because everyone would. I think a lot of video games have a pretty shit world to live in.
True.
Because most of them are all just death and destruction. But I'd like to be Spider-Man, and I think I'd behave myself pretty well. I'd adhere to the superhero guidelines of not killing innocents, and you know, I might use it to, you know, get a free pizza every now and again like he does. But you know, that's not too bad. What about you guys?
This is a difficult one. It's a good question. Although,
McPoo, you are very good at asking questions.
I mean, like, do you think that Spider-Man would behave himself, or Peter Parker would behave himself as you for that week?
Nah, he'd be a bad boy.
or do you reckon he'd just be like, where the shit's my webs? I can't. What the hell? I can't do anything.
Yeah. You get to work a nice full-time job in a cinema.
He's suddenly there why have I got to look after children? What the hell? I can't do this.
Yeah. Why is there a dog barking in the other room? Yeah. I don't know. I can't think on the fly. I can't think of anything.
I think I'd like to be someone like Lara Croft. Like,
I bet you would.
Oh yeah.
I bet you
spend
would.
like the first day just completely naked, going, "Hey!" But
in the bathroom.
no, like older Lara Croft though, not the reboot Lara. I think it'd be like the classic Lara because she's cooler.
Yeah, the one who locked the butler in the freezer.
You'd definitely do that, wouldn't you?
Oh,
yeah. He's just like, sorry, Winston, but get in the fridge. Basically.
Just to hear him constantly go, ooh, as he walked into the wall every 5 seconds. Oh, man, what a game.
I think,
no, Lara would be cool.
I don't think she'd behave.
You get to see...
Like,
oh, no.
Because Lara was never exactly one following the rules, so yeah, she'd probably. I'd get back to my body a week later and I'd be like, "Oh God, what's happened?
What have I done? Become a monster." Yeah. Next question from David Ayres. Thoughts on Aliens? So, is this the film Aliens, Aliens in general, or the Alien franchise? So. I like Aliens. They're cool. I think I don't know. I think Aliens the film is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
As is the franchise. Obviously, I don't know. I mean, what do you think of Alien vs Predator?
Like shit, but it did have some good moments. Like the actual.
I think the second. God,
as
sorry,
I said,
mate.
the actual fight between the alien and the predator in that first film was cool. You know, that was like, oh yeah, we wanted to see this. But some of the rest of the film was kind of garbage.
Yeah, I think when you get into like nerd territory of discussing like how can the alien take out loads of predators, you know, like where I think the second film was pretty shit as well. But like there was that one predator who just kind of kicked ass, like really kind of took control of that. So that I think those films are pretty shite, and I think Prometheus was all right, but that's Prometheus. The second one was just diabolical.
I enjoyed,
well, thankfully,
both of them.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I enjoyed Covenant, but there were sort of elements that were a bit daft, like too daft. Like, I mean, without spoiling too much, just in case people haven't watched it, you know, it's the whole I can't remember the android. I can't remember his name. But Fassbender's character. It's like it was just kind of a bit too on the nose, and the whole scene of how, like, he, you know, when it showed you him basically putting all the shit in that world and causing everything to go tits up. Basically, it was just it was a bit over the top, even for like that series. I'm not sure that now though, because I know there's still lots of talk about. Is it Neil Blomkamp? Like doing doing like a new film with Sigourney Weaver and stuff. I'm kind of like, if you do it, I think you need to go somewhere else. You know, go back to the Xenomorphs. I think definitely, but you know, there's so many other worlds that they could have been on. You know, it's like you could just tell a story of that.
I completely agree. I think with Neil Blomkamp, like his films are so like obviously District 9. He did Elysium, but then I absolutely adored Chappie. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
No, I never got around to watching
it. It's so good. Like it's so weird, but I think the concept's really fantastic, and like the way that film comes together at the end is excellent. So he's a real kind of visionary, and I think, like you say, if they're gonna make an alien film, don't retread anything. Just go at it from a completely different angle, because he has the capability of making something like that great. So it would be nice to see a new angle with that. But like with Alien Isolation, and they've just released not that mobile game, but there's like a short animated series which I think it's on IGN. I'm not plugging another video game site, but I think it's on there, where they're either releasing it weekly or, you know, it's all on there now. But they keep trying to bring it back, and I think some ways it's working, some ways it isn't. But the Alien franchise is always going to be something close to my heart. Yeah. But before we move on to the next question, what's your favourite Alien?
The films.
No, your favourite
my
Alien.
favourite actual Alien.
Like, yeah, like there was Alf. Oh god, I'm going back. Like, fucking, no one's gonna know what these are. But like Alf or like, there must be more aliens than Alf.
There was Mark.
I can't think.
Mark from Mark and Mindy.
Yeah.
Mark and Mindy.
Mark. Yeah.
Robin Williams.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
Oh mate,
I think
what a legend.
Yeah. To be fair, I think it's going to have to actually just be the Xenomorph because it's just so fucking cool. You know, there's not been anything like it.
I've got an Alien that I don't know if you can remember, but there was a film in the 80s called Mac and Me. Can you remember it?
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen it, but I remember it.
Right, I would suggest after the podcast just going off and Googling it or just whacking it on YouTube. Mac was this stupid little alien with big eyes. And it was essentially a massive hour-and-a-half long commercial for McDonald's. But it's the most fucking bizarre film ever. Like, I think Mac's my favourite, just because he made me laugh. Like, I used to love it as a kid because we had a guy who came around, like, he drove around all the streets with, like, a van full of videos. So he's like a portable video shop. I remember getting it off him. It was legal, maybe. I don't really know. But it was a long time ago. Things were different in the 80s and 90s. But Mac and Me was amazing. And it's completely shit now, but it's still funny, like, how they got away with making this into a film. I think maybe they tried to capitalise on E.T. It's like E.T. just got fat and depressed and just decided to be in this film. But yeah, Mac and Me. Go and check it out, listeners. You won't be disappointed. Next question from Thomas, Llama Fluff 42. Cheese Easter egg at Sainsbury's. Good idea? See, I'm not the one to ask. We needed that. I mean, we're all partial to a bit of cheese, but
cheese Easter egg, I'm just like, nah. If it's,
it'd have to be like thick cheese, like whole. Like it couldn't be hollow because it wouldn't sustain its shape.
No, I wouldn't
surely.
have thought so.
No, but I like the idea. I like the idea of peeling off a bit of egg and it being a bit of Edam or a bit of Gouda. Or it could be a big brie egg. But yeah, or you just buy a big Edam for the cheese cutter, which the plastic is kind of the shell and you eat the centre. Maybe they should market them as Easter eggs. Shape it into an Easter egg, have an Edam Easter egg, a Baby Bell Easter egg. Mind you, that might be a bit rank because it's a bit plastic in it. Baby Bell. You want something strong, good flavour to it. A red Leicester egg. I'd go for some of that. So yes, it is a good idea, Thomas, but whether they would market them, maybe be the figurehead. Maybe you should go to Sainsbury's and demand they make a range of cheese Easter eggs. Also another question from Thomas. With the 3DS all but dead, what's your favourite memory of playing Nintendo's handheld wonder?
I'm gonna go with Resident Evil. Like when Revelations came out on that, I was well happy.
Yeah, I think that might be right.
It was one of those again, kind of. I mean, it was an earlier version of the RE engine, but that was like, how the hell they got that on the 3DS? I don't know. It was way ahead of its time, kind of thing, visually and
yeah, it was.
But yeah, I think that's probably. I mean, there was so many good games on there. I mean, I loved Super Mario 3D Land. And
that is fantastic.
That and 3D World, I think, were two of my favourite Mario games. I just thought they captured the 3D style, but also the old school Mario vibe, and I think they were very good. The 3DS is a cracking handheld. It's a shame that it's kind of gone now, more or less, but it kind of makes sense because I know Nintendo said they'd support both, but I just don't see the point in having the Switch and a handheld because the Switch is basically both.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. No, you're right. I think for me, it's playing Ocarina of Time on there with my daughter. That was her entry into Zelda.
Nice.
So from there, she's been playing like Breath of the Wild and stuff. So yeah, it was her first chance and only chance to really play that. So that was cool. Right, next question. Matt King at Kinger8938. Have you ever completely ignored any coverage on a game with no intention of buying to then suddenly pick it up on a whim just because you want something new to play? Did this today with The Division 2. An additional question, did it end well? So, for me, the only game I can think of off the top of my head is The Division 2 because I had no... In fact, yeah, Division 2, but also Devil May Cry 5 because I had no intention of getting that. I've played the series, but based on what everyone was saying about the demo, I was not going to go near it, and then thankfully I did because it's currently my favourite game this year. So yeah, recent memory, Devil May Cry. Going further back, can't really think off the top of my head, but yeah, Devil May Cry and Division 2 definitely this year. I mean, what about you?
I think mine was the original Halo. Because when I first got an Xbox, I almost went a bit hipster with it. I was like, everyone was talking about Halo. I'm not bothering with Halo. It was a little bit childish about it. But I eventually, I borrowed it and played it, and I was like, this is fucking brilliant. It's like, it just ended up. So that one did end well because clearly here I am still wanting a new Halo, and I've just re-downloaded the Master Chief Collection as well to play. So I want to play through Halo 2, and that beautiful anniversary version was just ridiculously pretty. But
definitely.
I feel like kind of going through those games again, and so that one definitely went well. Yeah, cool.
Next question from Calvin. Hey, Calvin. That's Calvin Robinson to you and I, listeners. If Marvel made an Injustice Gods Among Us MK style game, which character would you choose and why? This is a fantastic question.
This is basically me and you are the perfect ones to be answering this question.
Yeah. This could go on for a while, listeners. Right, off the bat, Wolverine.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm a huge fan of fast characters, but I don't think he'd be fast. I think he'd just be swift, and powerful, and I think you could get a lot out of those claws. I'd love to see. Oh man, this is a game that needs making.
Yeah.
Why did they fuck it up?
Yeah, that's
Why did they make Marvel vs. Capcom again?
That's the thing. I remember I reviewed Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and I was like, I think I gave it an 8. I was like, because it was good. I enjoyed it. But it's one of those games that the more I think back on, the more I'm like, actually, I think maybe I was a bit too nice to it, but
it's difficult. Well, it's difficult when it's covering something you like, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
If it was Coronation Street versus Capcom, it might have been a 6.
Where the hell did you pluck that one from? That's brilliant,
mate. It was the first thing that came to my mind.
I mean, I think, Hulk's got to be a good one to pick.
Hulk could be
he's
ace,
awesome.
Yeah.
Magneto, I think, could be a good one. And particularly because I've recently watched the film, I think Captain Marvel would be ace. That was a character that I didn't. She's one of the few characters that I didn't really know that much about. I'd never really. I think the most I knew of her was from reading Civil War 2.
Yes,
and which was really good. But yeah, I went into this film kind of going, I'll watch it. I'm not invested kind of thing because I didn't know the character, and I think that was the best way I could do it because I came out like, this is really good. And ever since,
that's cool.
Yeah, it's I really enjoyed it. The more I thought about it, the more I thought about some of the scenes, the more I found myself thinking, this was better than I thought originally. It was I came out of it enjoying it, but the more I've thought about it since, the more I'm like, that's actually really, really good film. A lot of fun.
Yeah, I love it when they do that because I felt the same with Black Panther and Wonder Woman. I knew limited amounts of the characters, but they especially Wonder Woman that. I find that fantastic. Yeah. I think that's one of the greatest kind of superhero films that's been released recently.
Yeah. Agreed.
It was excellent, and I have a lot of fun watching that. And Gal Gadot is just she's perfect for that because she's just perfect. She's like an angel. So it makes sense to have her as the Amazonian, like, badass. Like, she nails that role so well.
She very much does.
But yeah, probably Wolverine, I think, would be my first choice because I'd love to see, like, let's just say, for sake of it, NetherRealm are making this game. I'd love to see the way they make these characters look. And I think Wolverine will look amazing.
I wonder what they do with the actual stories, because obviously Injustice is like a big, like it's basically its own canon. You know, it's even in the comics. You know, you've got a massive comic run for the series, like prequel stuff, and they've even done comics that told the story of Injustice 1, and you know, like, I'd love to see a story similar to that. 'Cause, I mean, I know technically we've had something similar with like the Civil War stuff in the comics and that, but I'd just love to see where they'd go. Like, if it was like Injustice, who would be the Marvel character, like the good guy that'd turn, you know, and do it? You know, there's so many options that they could do. I mean, it could even be someone like Charles Xavier. Something snaps on him, you know, because he could do so much damage. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, because then he can control. He can control the kind of good guys and turn them on, or even Jean Grey. Yeah. But yeah, there's this. I thought of another character. I'd love to see Venom and Carnage in a NetherRealm game.
Yeah.
Like, they're made for that.
Good call.
That developer. Yeah. But no, that's a fantastic question because it meant we got to be geeks for a little bit longer. And the final question, which is a reoccurring question, which we ask every week from McPoo. You have to spend the next 24 hours in the world of the last video game you played. Will you survive and will you have a nice time? I think not. I think I would be dead. If I stepped foot outside the safe zone, I'd be dead. There's too many mean people around, and there's a lot of feral raccoons and dogs and stuff, which no one seems to bat an eye over. But you know, one of them could snap and savage me.
Yeah.
So I'd stay in the safe zone. There's not a lot there, to be fair. You get bored pretty easily. But that's probably for me.
I suppose if you're part of one of the communities, you'd be fine. You know, because you'd at least have some stuff to do. You could run the store, or something. You know,
There's a toy place. There's like you can play with toys if you. Well, I suppose as an adult that might be a bit weird, but there's that you can help grow some plants, some crops. You can. Yeah, there's a firing range.
You might enjoy yourself more than you think.
Maybe I go like you know, like how the post-apocalyptic worlds corrupt people, like Mad Max, where they all go mental. That might be me. I might get a taste for it and just become like a feral adult, just living alone under a bus. Yeah, but no. So that's the end of the podcast. I hope you enjoyed yourself, listeners. Gary, thank you very much for joining me, mate.
Thank you.
You can follow us all on Twitter. I'm at First Avenger 83. Gary's at Blue Fury 47. Go onto the website for lots of coverage coming up for the Division 2. There's already a tips piece up there. With it being such a big game, and you know you can't just review this in a few sittings. This is a game that's going to evolve the more we play. So you'll see a review in progress come soon, I'm sure. But that when it does come, it's from Mick, who knows his shit. You know, he puts a lot of effort into these reviews because he loves loot shooters. Go and check out his Anthem review for like one of the most detailed and finest reviews out there for it. But yeah, we'll be covering Division a hell of a lot. There's some videos planned and all sorts. But yeah, that's all on GodIsAGeek.com. Go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GodIsAGeek. We also like to ask for your money because the Patreon we do. Well, that's why we're here. No, the Patreon, it basically covers a lot of our events. Like you have no idea. I know we say it. We say, oh, it helps, but like it really does. Like I've been able to get to the Sekiro Shadows Die Twice and the Days Gone event because of you guys, and it's much appreciated. We go to these events to cover the games. I mean, we enjoy doing it, but we want to give you the best content because we all care a lot about this site, and it helps us to get new equipment for people that need to come on the pod or need to record videos. Yep. We're in an indie site. We don't have a lot of financial support from the world, so a lot of it we do appreciate what you guys do for us, and you can go to patreon.com/godisgeek to donate a little or a lot depending on what you feel, but yeah, it's much appreciated. Again, Gary, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having.
Yeah, no worries, and thank you for listening, guys. We will see you all soon. Take care. Bye bye.